Are you sure this isn't the same set?
Yes, Pat. It's the same set.
Okay.
I don't know.
No,
It's different. It's not the same set at all. You're as bad as him. There's like a table in the other set.
It's okay, John. Just let him have this.
Okay, well, okay.
All right.
It's like we're invaded by Canada, and I don't like it. This is Sean Jesse. We're here. Ready, get
But you know what? Canada has given us some great wrestlers over the years.
That's one of the few things they export. And the 1 year anniversary of Epic Mealtime, we love you, brothers.
We do love Epic Mealtime. They're the only acceptable Canadians that don't wrestle. Actually, they're more acceptable than several Canadians who do.
Yeah, Edge was from Canada. I like
Edge was from Canada. Christian's from Canada. I like him. Bret Hart. I liked Bret Hart back in the day. Owen Hart. Liked him before he tried to live out that Tom Petty song.
Suddenly decelerated.
Learning to fly. But he ain't got wings. Too soon.
Too soon.
I don't.
Years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not like we're cracking jokes about other subjects.
Yeah.
People.
It's not like Nancy Grace's going to whip me into a Terry and Casey Anthony inferno right here. I said it. Okay, fans, but on the local scene, July 30th, the Rita Building in Knoxville, Tennessee. Google it. TXW Wrestling, big show. Shane Daniels, he wrestled with us in Continental, great performer. Jason Max of the Death Row Inmates. The best tag team in Tennessee, probably, except for maybe the Forsaken Angels Guild. Worked with all of them. They all work with TXW now. Like I said earlier, the Black and Ease Assassin Menace is going to be there. Donovan Daniels, great young talent, going to be there. Go support TXW Wrestling. They are the best wrestling in this general area. I mean, you know, you've got...
The Den?
I was kind of thinking more like East Tennessee, but if they were to come into the Den, they would probably be the best wrestling here.
Okay.
TXW Wrestling, hands down, by far, the best promotion in Knox and surrounding counties. I mean, you know, we got Terry. Terry's always going to put on a show. Terry actually sometimes has some decent wrestlers working for him. Problem with Terry's show is, Terry's on it.
Yeah.
You know.
He has really done his best to pretty much stifle wrestling in the area.
Yeah, boy, if Terry doesn't promote it, nobody should promote it.
I mean, wrestling in Knoxville used to be huge. You had a weekly Continental every week.
Well, you had Continental. Then you had Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, Smoky Mountain. You know, you had your Bob Armstrong. Everybody like that. Ric Flair would come in and wrestle Bob Armstrong. It was on Saturday, every morning Saturday. Gordon Soley calling the matches from Knoxville. It was huge.
I tell you, one of the most exciting times for me in wrestling is Terry Gordy made a trip to the Continental. Feuded with my good friend Wildcat Wendell Cooley.
Well, you know what happens when the cat's on top?
House is full.
He is the cat.
But I mean, this is when Terry Gordy he'd just been UWF champion, big in Japan. You know, you had the rare occasion when you would get Abdullah the Butcher to come through.
Like he was saying, you know, about Louisville and Memphis in the last show. That used to be every big city in the South, basically. You had your big Birmingham area wrestling. Of course, Charlotte.
Atlanta.
Florida, Orlando, Atlanta, Memphis. You know.
Well, you know, the Memphis territory, they ran all through Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge.
And lower Indiana.
I guess in the Mid-South, you know.
Actually, I was just reading, Mid-South is actually one of the ones that Vince doesn't own. He's trying to come to terms with buying it, but right now the party that owns it is not interested in selling. Which tells me it's probably not Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Because you figure if Lawler had it, he'd have probably already sold it to him or at least licensed it out. Also, Vince does not own the Continental Library. Last I heard, Bo James up in Kingsport owns it. Now, Bo up in Kingsport runs an excellent... Kingsport, Tennessee still has excellent wrestling promotion in Southern States Wrestling. Bo and Misty James put on great shows. Wrestle all over the Tri-Cities area. Have a weekly TV show on the WB.
You know, these territory wrestling before, now you go to a show. If you get 500 people, you've got a good crowd to show. 1,000 people. Territories days, 10,000 people a night.
Oh, yeah,
Mid-South Coliseum sold out for years, 15,000
Oh,
people.
Jerry Lawler will tell you he sold out the Mid-South Coliseum more times than Elvis and the Beatles put together.
I mean, every week the Civic Coliseum have 10,000 people in it.
Oh, I mean, I used to go to Continental Wrestling all the time, and if you didn't buy your tickets early, you sat in the bad seats. And there are some terrible seats in the Coliseum.
It was a crowded house. That's how popular it was, and I'm always going to miss the territory days. Hopefully they can make a comeback at some point, and guys like TXW are helping.
Well, honestly, Vince is helping.
Yeah, Vince is doing his best, whether he realizes it or not, to give these territories a shot in the arm. Who knows that Vince is? Maybe he's doing this on purpose. Maybe he wants to see the local scene build up.
Well,
I mean,
one of the worst things he did was to get rid of all his competition.
Yeah,
It sounds strange, but
I guess you could say in winning, Vince lost.
in winning, Vince lost.
Wrestling fans certainly lost.
the worst thing ever, and it was on that DVD set I'm talking about. The worst thing that ever happened to wrestling was when Shane McMahon
showed
walked
up at
into
Club La
Club
Vila at Panama City.
And
I remember that day.
Oh, I literally shed tears
I
when
cried.
Raw opened up and Vince McMahon was there. I mean, it was the end of, first off, a great era I had with my friends. We got together every Monday night to watch wrestling.
We did, yeah.
And we still got together and watched Raw. But I'll tell you what, during the Monday Night Wars, when we used to get together at Kevin's house and watch wrestling, Raw was never on that TV. We never changed it from Nitro.
Why would you?
Yeah.
You had such great feuds going on, such good in-the-ring action
Nitro
going
was so
on.
good you didn't want to miss a minute of it.
Nitro was it had good feuds, good wrestling going on in the ring.
The mid-card on Nitro, the mid-card, your cruiserweights, your tag team stuff was better than anything on TV today.
I mean, one of the things that WCW did that you don't see, the alliance with with Japan Wrestling, bringing in those guys for matches.
Well, yeah, here's an
That
interesting
was awesome.
tidbit, and this, I don't know how it's going to work out yet, but TNA's entered an agreement with AAA in Mexico. Jeff Jarrett is currently the AAA America's champion. You might start seeing a lot of luchadors in TNA, and one of my favorite luchadors could be coming back to America. Skeletor himself.
The
Lo
chairman?
Parca, the chairman of WCW.
The chairman is coming back. That's good news.
I mean, they literally, WCW took a guy who spoke no English, wrestled covered head to toe in a suit, and made him as entertaining as anybody on TV.
Hopefully they can do something with it, but I believe the writer for TNA is the guy who killed it.
It's Vince Russo. He's terrible.
But see, he killed WCW.
TNA is doing no better in the wrestling department.
One of the things that happened with the, and you can actually read this in his book. He talks about it. It's literally the board of directors actually made him mad, and so he basically told him, "I will destroy this company," and he did.
Yeah, Vince, you should be working in wrestling today.
Yeah.
On that stunt.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess TNA saying, yeah, we just won't make him mad.
Well, he's terrible. Sorry, same terrible stuff as on the other 29 minutes of wrestling in a 2-hour program. Not cutting it.
I'd like to see. I want to see some just good old-fashioned wrestling.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. If you could get it up to 50 minutes of wrestling in the 2-hour program, I'd be happy. Because you figure how many commercials in at least 20 minutes.
Probably 20 minutes of commercials, something like 20, 25.
Okay, so you figure 50 minutes of wrestling, 20 minutes of commercials. That still leaves you 50 minutes to have your soap opera.
I mean, you don't need, speaking, like I said with the Raw last week, speaking segments that go on so long, you have to have a commercial break in the middle of them.
Right.
And I don't know. 5 minutes. You give your guy 5 minutes.
Look, most of your story in wrestling should be told in the wrestling.
Okay, I'll say it this way. Best clip guys ever are Ric Flair and probably Macho Man.
Oh, yeah.
You rarely saw Macho. You can look at Macho Man's interviews on YouTube. Very few last more than 4 minutes. Most of them 2 minutes.
Flair was a little bit longer winded, but granted, there used to be a lot of times with Flair there was 5 of
With
them.
Flair, you're out there with the Horsemen, and Ole never said anything. But Arn got us.
Arn actually is almost as good a talker as Flair and Macho Man. He's the most underrated talker. Tully was a good
His
talker.
words in, and then they would say Flair for last. But they were still 8-9 minutes at most with all 4 Horsemen and JJ.
I mean, the man who literally is known as the mouth of the South. I mean,
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
But the most Bobby Heenan.
The brain.
Heenan could do more in a 2-minute promo than you can spend 30 minutes with the guys today doing it.
You know what? For that matter, Roddy Piper.
I mean, the Piper's pits were shorter than lots of interviews today and lots of just out-of-ring nonsense today. And he was usually busting Jimmy's Superfly Snook over the head with a coconut during the segment.
Right.
Now,
I mean, somebody got beat up
I
on
mean,
every segment.
literally, in Piper's Pit, you'd have a decent interview and then a beatdown.
You got 3 minutes of interview and 3 minutes of him
If a pretty girl was on there, he'd be hitting on her too.
He did try to hit on Elizabeth on one of the episodes. Didn't work out that well.
No.
no,
Macho Man tries to kiss him instead.
Yes. Not that Macho wasn't a handsome man. He was Macho.
I will say,
Macho.
I'm going to say this. Heard a story this week. Ric Flair. We all know I love Ric Flair. If it were feasible, I would carry Ric Flair's children in my belly. But I don't think David Reed or the girls would like that.
He does love Rick.
But honestly, he wrestled an indie show in front of a crowd of fewer than 300 people. Did almost no wrestling and still could barely walk back to the dressing room.
I know it's there's got to be some way he can make money without having to go through that. And that, I honestly, I know he makes a lot. He probably got paid $15,000 or $20,000.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure people, actually, I'd say the fans were happy. All 300 of those fans were probably happy.
Oh, I mean, I would have.
Just to get to see Ric Flair, I would have been.
Oh yeah, I would have shaved his face into my stomach hair and stood there doing this the whole time,
As far as
hoping he
goes,
would notice me.
It's like the same thing with Vern Gagne and some other people who wrestled till they were 6,000 years old. It's time to get out of the ring.
I would really.
Ric Flair could be the new J.J. Dillon.
He would make a great. I would love it if Flair was an announcer. Who speaks better than Ric Flair? You can make money announcing, Rick.
Well, fans, it looks like we're getting close to out of time.
No more questions.
We're up to the video scope.
Happy birthday, Carly.